Ladies and gentlemen, welcome for the first time to the Electric Vibe podcast. I am one of your three co-hosts, J. David, the Electric Man Silva. If you know, you know. I will let you all know that our third co-host, Hucky Austin, is not with us. He's on a bit of a sabbatical, but he will be back to join us shortly. But we are joined by our other co-host, the esteemed gentleman to my right, Mr.
Looking behind me, there's this esteemed gentleman. My name is Kurt Hoffman. Nice to be back once again, Jay.
Yes, Kurt, always good to see you. Happy to
Yes,
be
sir.
here. And I would love for you to talk about our guest, who is a good friend of the Electric Vibe podcast, doing an encore performance. Would you do the
Yes,
honors,
sir.
please?
Yes, I would love to. So we've got Michael Koppleman on, and of course, we have to mention for those who, engage in the Purple Universe, yes, he's that guy that engineered on several Prince projects, multiple other outside projects outside of Prince for 5 years from 90 to 95. That's a 1-9 in front of that year. So 1990 to 1995, for those of you that didn't live in the last century. And after he left Prince, he had a number of musical projects he involved himself in. Along with his younger brother, Kurt, he had the group Rain Tribe. And I suggest if you haven't heard it, Ancient Spacemen is available in the streaming universe. Also, we have a hard copy of it that our guest truly today gave a copy to Jay and myself. He's a man of a million different interests and passions, run the gamut from astronomy to beer making to soap making, lotion making, music making. Various projects that he's done include the Low Life podcast before podcasting was really kind of a thing that people were doing. If you recall our last episode with Michael, we talked a lot about his forays into technology with the Bitstream. And, in fact, this old Spaceman album, I believe, was a Bitstream recording. It says right here on the back, Bitstream Underground, right? So the early internet days was certainly a part of his value system in terms of interests. And now he's got a latest project, excuse me, and that is Nobody from Nowhere. It features, again, his younger brother, Kurt. His son, Miles, is also a part of it, and several other members of the band and special guest vocalists on this album, Nobody from Nowhere. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Electric Vibe podcast, Mr. Michael Koppleman. Michael, thanks for coming back.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you again.
Great. Our
So this
pleasure.
album dropped on June 26th, if memory serves. And so far, how's the reaction been so far on your end? What have you heard?
People seem impressed with it. I could talk for hours, but I resist the urge to watch little graphs and think that the impact is proportional to those graphs. We want those graphs to go up. How many people have heard the record? I want that number to go up. But, it's an asset that I've made that's going to be for forever. And I don't need whatever happens with it to happen with it in July. You know what I'm saying? So it comes out on streaming services the end of this tomorrow, August 1st. So it's been on Bandcamp so far. And I've people have bought it. I've probably made more money on Bandcamp than I'll ever make on Spotify. So that's the good news so far.
Yeah, and I will attest that Jay and I both bought this on Bandcamp because I wanted to hear what you had to offer. And
Thank you for doing that.
yeah, you're welcome. And it was June 27th. Now I'm looking at the info here. If you don't mind, Jay, I would really like to delve into the album
Yes.
a little bit because we're here to promote it. First of all, Nobody from Nowhere, the title track, you're the lead vocalist on that, right? Okay. Brand new chapter, brand new day. I like the fact that you didn't start with the title track first, but you started with the first time. So let's go track by track if you don't mind. So can you tell us a little bit about the first time?
Absolutely. I love talking about this stuff.
We love hearing it.
I was gonna say like his background, just because if people don't
Please.
know who I am,
Yes.
which they shouldn't. But I watched Prince make records. We might have been talking about this last time, but I watched Prince make records. So I watched him do Graffiti Bridge, Diamonds and Pearls, the Symbol record. We worked on probably 4 other albums for other artists at the same time. So I feel like I was like an apprentice in a way of Prince in terms of making records, which is sounds highfalutin or self-grandizing, but literally I was sitting in the freaking room. I was in the room. So I feel like I gained insights from that, that I tried to put into this record. I've not put out a record since Ancient Spaceman in 1995. So um it's hard to put out records. It takes a lot of vision, effort, and just like the normal hard work, the boring sort of hard work, you know? And with Spotify and stuff, you can put singles out and it's awesome. I've done it a lot. But making a record that you feel like is a cohesive work of art that you know, hopefully want people to look at as a single work of art is not a dying art form at all. It's very much
Mhm.
alive. And I'm putting this record out on vinyl because I want it to be an artifact,
Good.
because it's what we do, you know. Otherwise, it's like it's up to Spotify or whatever the fuck. Like, it's like, no, I need to have, I want people to have this. It's not that I think it's that important. It has to last or something, but it just feels like part of the process to me, you know?
Mhm.
Well,
So
we grew up in a certain era, Michael, where music was a lot more tactile than it is now. I mean, those of us who grew up with, vinyl, which I'm glad it's made a comeback because at least it's getting younger generations who didn't have that before or really didn't know about it to understand the experience that us grown-ups had. When you bought an album, it's you opened the plastic wrap, the smell of the new vinyl
Yes.
and all the different olfactory senses that went along with it. And you open up the cover and you look at the artwork and you look at the credits of who did what, who played the instrument, who mastered, who engineered, wwho produced it, was it self-produced, the credits of who wrote the songs. We loved all that stuff. But you had a physical representation of that stuff. So
and now
that
my
that
kids in
means a
their
lot to
rooms,
you.
they have record covers on their walls, you know. It's they buy it for what's inside, but they also buy it because the same reason we put it on. It's this memento of something I can listen anytime I want. I can tell Siri anytime I want. But that's totally different than
Yep.
having this thing for all the reasons you were talking about, you know?
Yeah, it's just I do miss that experience, and I don't buy a ton of artists. There's some artists, particularly the newer artists, unless I really found their album impact, like, wow, I've got to have a special version of this. But they're legacy artists that I grew up with that are still putting out albums, and they make the majority of their sales through the vinyl now. It's been easily exceeding CD sales. Does anybody sell CDs anymore? I mean,
No, it's by far the most important format in a sense.
yeah, yeah,
But it's got to be especially gratifying, Michael, because you're the creator. You and the band are the creator of this artwork. And, I remember it was, not to belabor the point, but I think it was Prince who said that once you create something, it's a success. But now you having a tangible copy of your creation has got to be extremely rewarding, especially in this age of AI and streaming.
Absolutely. But, yeah. And you guys are artists. We're all artists in ways, right? You get sick of yourself. You get sick of yourself. So what happens is by the time you could put it out, you hate it. You know, this is a common thing for artists, you know.
yeah.
So like that's why getting things out quick, like Spotify, hey, I wrote it yesterday, it's on Spotify Wednesday, like that's awesome in a sense, you know. Do something like this, you have to live with it and you have to love it the whole fucking time, which means it's got to be great, which means you have to keep working on it. And those guys behind you, JD, in that picture of my band, you were instrumental in helping me just make this great and not be like, fuck it, I'm over it, let's put it out, it's done. It's like, no,
Yes.
let's make it great, let's make it special. You know, we're a band in that sense, you know. I write most of the songs, but they're not going to let it be half-assed, you know.
And before we get into Kurt, if you don't mind, before we get into the track by track, can you talk about the band, Michael? Talk about the dynamic, kind of talk about your process as a group.
Sure, I'd love to. You know, Kurt and I have been writing and playing music since we were like in high school, pretty much, you know. But I've always been a musician. He was always off doing other things. Um, it's kind of been a hobby for him, but he's been like my right-hand man in a sense, even though it's been a part-time right-hand man. Hey, there's a song title for you.
There you go.
Mark Reddish, on the other end, our drummer, is someone I haven't known for long. He's a huge pedigree in music. He's a great drummer. He's toured with Nova Mob and bunch of artists whose names I forget, but he's a consummate professional, and he was the one that really helped me at the end when I was getting sick of it. Keep making it better. Like, no, we have to go work on that song. I was like, no, that isn't it fine? It's fine. He's like, no, it's not fine. Let's go. And normally I'm the one that thinks it's not fine, you know?
Mhm.
When you get sick of it, like you need collaborators to kind of help, you know? So Mark's a great drummer, did a lot more than just drumming on this record. And then Lewis, there's some fantastic guitar playing on this record, and it's
Yeah.
mainly this kid Lewis Stanek, who's 21 years old and been playing guitar for
God.
like 3 years, and he's just a visionary melodically on the guitar. And
Yeah.
so like tons of the songs are hugely influenced by his playing, and I love his playing. So There's some deep fucking blues riffs on here. So a lot of really great
Yes.
guitar playing, and
Yes.
almost
Yeah.
all of that is Lewis.
It reminded me, his playing reminded me a little bit of Mark Knopfler's phrasing, a little bit of Lindsey Buckingham in there. I mean, to my ears, you
But
know.
he sees himself as a blues guitarist, but I'll say like it's not on this record, but this song I got on like play like Prince, like some cocky ass Prince guitar playing, and bam, he just kills that shit, you know. Or you give him a slide, and you're going to be in the Delta blues just right now, you know. So
Cool, cool,
it's
cool.
really fun to have people that good in your band, you know.
But he's
Yep.
been only playing for 3 years, and he's picked it up that quickly and that naturally. That's something. That's something to be
It's
said for
crazy.
that.
He's going places for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, hey.
And you know, Michael, tell us about Miles.
Yeah, Miles is my son, and he plays bass in the band and some guitar, and we guys switch around and stuff too. And he kind of got hired, you know, he got shanghaied because we needed a bass player, basically. And he's a great musician. You know, I don't, I'm a bad dad. Like, I don't just give my kids shit because they're my kids in terms of like stuff like this. I would never put someone half-assed in my band. I wouldn't do it. It would be bad for them. I'm incapable of it, you know? Miles is a great musician and he brings a lot to the band and he can play whatever instrument. And like, he's the same age as Lewis. Our keyboard player is also like 21. So we have like three
Wow.
21-year-olds and three like
Cool.
almost 60-year-olds. And we have a great time playing together. And then they bring a bunch of young people and we bring their parents.
Right.
We don't bring their parents, but we bring their age equivalent
Right.
of their parents.
Right. Right.
And it's super fun, you know?
That's
But
great. That's
they're
great.
injecting a different energy. Of course, we know what it is to be older, and I dare say, in some cases, wiser. But you have this world weariness and this life experiences, and they're bringing the whole joie de vivre. Whoo,
And they love our era of music. Like, at least my kids, I don't know about the whole world in general, but the Pumpkins, Nirvana, you know, everything from about 1975 till, now, they listen to. Steely Dan, my kids love Steely Dan. They love all sorts of shit I would never have predicted that they would have liked, you know? So when their friends hear us, they actually like us
Mhm.
because it reminds them of music that doesn't really get made anymore. It's got a little bit of a 90s vibe
yeah,
to it or something.
yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
I'm sorry, Kurt, the
No,
recording process, and again, I know there's a number of tracks on there, but collaboration, working together, writing the songs. Can you take us a little bit through what that looks like as a group?
Yeah. Well, I sort of demo songs as part of my writing process. So I'm writing a song, I'm sort of recording it too, and then I generally am fired up about things at first, so I'll send it to the band like, "Hey, check this out," you know? And I never really know what they think. Like, it's just this silence that is the response normally. But then we'll be rehearsing. They're like, "Hey, like, what's that song you said? Like, it was like blowing or something like that. What's that? Yeah, I like that song. Let's try that." And then we'll play it. And then this happens with a few songs that we just instantly gravitate to and like. And we'll try other stuff too that I'll be like, "Well, I sent you that one thing. Like, can we try that?" But just feeling how their energy
Yes.
adapts to it because we'll try everything, but then they really help me decide what is for us. And then we sort of started just end of the COVID kind of era where we were just trading files online. So my buddy Mark, the drummer, does all the drums at home. I do everything at my house, and we just trade files like that. Kirk comes over here, Miles comes over here, Lewis comes over here. So we kind of build them up track by track. We love playing live. The next record we want to record, in the studio together, not in this sort of trading files way. And I think it's gonna be a really awesome record to have this sort of live band vibe. This is pretty much a studio record. Excuse me.
so let's talk about some of the special guests that are on this album. I want to talk about track number. We're going to skip a little bit. So the first time in Nobody from Nowhere, who's singing vocals in the first time?
It's Kurt, my brother.
Okay, I had a feeling. Okay, definitely a different timbre than your voice. You can tell the difference. So he takes the first track, you take the second track, the title track, Nobody from Nowhere, and Set Me Free. That
Yes.
I was like, oh, I like these Moog synths. And like I said before we hit on the air, it very much reminded me of the group Low and their song in particular, Monkey, because it has that kind of thing where it has a little synth intro, albeit you start at a lower octave. And this
Check
Nikki
that out.
is, can you the last name Nikki Lemire? Lemire. she's quite something because she plays harp. She's got a quartet, a group of her own for her solo stuff. So she plays around, I believe, from Duluth, right? She's a Duluth gal. Okay. Tell us a little bit how you got hooked up with her and how she got to be part of the album.
Absolutely. There's three people featured on the record. Four. It's Nikki, Jill, Anastasia, and Ted on four different songs. And these are all singer-songwriters I've met in the Minneapolis area over the last few years. Anastasia, sorry, I'm going to answer your question. But
No, you're doing it.
Anastasia sings this song, I Love You and Goodbye. And we met at open mic night at Badger Hill Brewing, where you and I met, Kurt. And
Yes.
like I saw her sitting there and I introduced myself. I assumed she was there for open mic and saw her first song and I was like, I have to work with this woman, you know? So
Cool.
I reached
Okay.
out to her that night, like, that's a great song to play this on Ghost Town, you know, like, and we ended up doing a EP with her. And I have a second record I'm working on with her. She's a great
Cool.
songwriter, phenomenal songwriter.
Well, perhaps we'll have to have her on with you discussing the album.
That'd be great.
Throwing
So
that out in
Nikki's
the
another
universe.
songwriter I met in this. We have this Facebook group where they give you a prompt word and then everyone writes a song. You guys have maybe seen some of my posts on Facebook.
Yes.
Nikki is one of the songwriters that does that, and we ended up meeting and working with a lot of the same people and have actually produced some things together. And she's one of my favorite musicians in the world. She's fantastically talented, great ears. Like I trust her musicianship completely. So like working with her is just like a dream come true for me to have someone like that sing my songs, you know. I sing that song like when we play live, it's fine. She kills it. It transcends. She brings it to a
It's a
whole new
different,
place, you know.
it's a different.
So when I asked her if she would sing that and she said yes, I was overjoyed. When she came and sang it, I was blown away, you know. And she's got so much going on. She's for sure going places. So it was just really nice having her do that with us. And then that intro, I love Dark Side of the Moon. It's like my favorite record maybe of all time.
I had a feeling, and I'm going to go back to your previous project to kind of piggyback on that, and that's your Rain Tribe project. I told you before we aired that the first song on Rain Tribe, Ancient Spaceman, you can actually stream it on all your streaming
Please do.
platforms. Up to You kind of has that Floyd. There's a couple songs there, Fear, Any Day. A lot of them have that a kind of a Dark Side of the Moon, 1973, at least to me. And that kind of carries forward a little bit in the new project.
Thank you.
But Set Me Free. Can you guys hear the music in the background?
Yes.
Yeah, that's plunging right in. Let's. Conzemius.
There you go. She's great. We can let it play if you want.
That's up to you guys, the producers.
Well, let's.
Her voice almost has this haunting quality to it.
Yeah,
In a good way, though. I mean, it's very, very. The word kind of escapes me.
Jill, are you talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No, she goes by the name Conzemius on Spotify and stuff. And she has some great songs and she's doing great. She uses Jill Conzemius on this because she sees it as a separate project. But check out Conzemius because if you click Jill Conzemius from my thing, it won't go to this. Search for Conzemius. She's a great singer. She's got some great songs and she's got a great vibe. And she's one of my newest, dearest musical friends. Like we've written songs together and um anyway. But so when I cried when I heard her sing my song too. So like people singing my songs is one of the greatest gifts I've ever gotten. It's really awesome, which is why I only sing, well, I think I sing less than half of the songs on my own record.
that's but it doesn't have. I mean, you call it Nobody from Nowhere because you're collecting all these different. So tell us why you called it Nobody from Nowhere. What was the? You just
That's
wanted
a
to take a back seat, or
Although it depends how deep you want me to go here. When I first got disillusioned in the music business, like so after Prince, I produced some records, and I just became like sort of disillusioned because it was no one likes anything until someone else tell them it's good, you know, like this the thing we all know about. But when you see this as an industry, as a practice, as like this is like best practices, joking in a sense, but like you watch an industry where the best practices are, you know, don't believe anyone, don't listen to anything unless someone else tells you, don't, you know, like don't make up your own mind. You stand next to the coolest people in the room, like you're always crawling your way up from the losers to the cooler people. And I despise this mentality. I hate it. I will never be participate in it, you know? So my joke to myself is sort of like, I'm nobody. Like, who am I? Nobody. I will never try to get in some place, not that I am anybody, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I would never try to use my somebodyness. I hate that. I think so. It's part of me is just kind of saying like, I'm no one, I'm from nowhere. And unless you like the fucking thing, who cares, you know? Like, I'm not going to pretend I'm some special fucking person. Listen to it. Is it good? That's what I want you to do, you know? I'm nobody. Is it good?
Kind
You
of
tell
your
me.
it's kind of your listen without prejudice.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah, yes.
Jay, being the George Michael fans that we are, like, look, listen without prejudice. George Michael had his name on the album. He's like, I don't want you to judge it for he didn't have his face on the cover of the album. He had a sea of people. It's like, what do you think? Just listen without thinking it's about me. It's
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 hilarious.
it's
I
a
mean, I'm sure you could do the experiment. Play the same record for some people. Tell them it's an unknown band from Minneapolis. Tell them it's the, Ariana Grande's secret project with fucking name every cool person you know, and see what they say about the fucking record. Like, we are told what to think, and some
I
people are
played it
fine
at
with that.
work. I played it at work several times this week. I snuck it in there.
You, you know what, Michael, let me take that back because, and if I'm off base, you tell me I'm off base, but when we talked last time and subsequent times since then, we talked about your time with Prince. And we talked about how your time with Prince ended when you went your separate ways. And he was this mega star, mega superstar, right? He's iconic, he's legendary and all that, and you were working with him, but you stood your ground when it came time to move on. I remember you shared the story with us about how, the time came and there were certain things that you weren't going to do, and that was it. And so I appreciate the fact that you stay true to yourself. You're not going to be told what to like, what to think, whatever. You're going to do what you want. And I actually see that as a reflection in this album because it's just who you are. And I'm actually gonna kind of hijack the conversation for just a minute because I'm gonna talk
Yay.
about Crawl in Love with Me. And I'm gonna tell you why that hit me so hard. There is a line in there, and I wrote it down, love like agony. And I wanted to talk to you about your writing and that type of emotion and where that comes from and tie that into being true to yourself.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. I love stuff like that because it sums up that love hate of life in a sense, you know? Like, some people are really good at pretending everything's fine all the fucking time, but most of us are going through things, you know? And even the good things come with bad things. You know, you can be driving to the best gig of your life and be depressed or angry or, like life is this, you know? So, I love seemingly contradicting things like that, like, love like agony. I can't, that song to me is about confusion. Like, I'm trying to cast this spell of just feeling like if you're ever in a party where like you haven't because you guys are super good and you don't do bad things, but I do bad things. So you'll be at a party and you're on too many drugs and you wonder where the fuck you are. And you're having fun and it's great. And you're gonna lean into this shit because what else are you gonna do, you know? It's kind of what the song is about. So it's meant to be confusing. All the lines are, you know.
Mhm.
Not too on purposely, but just
But it's so honest, and even the lyrics in Nobody from Nowhere, it's just that honesty. No, and again, I wrote it down. There's a line where you start talking about, you have nothing to say, but then it segues into you're going somewhere today. And so it's that dichotomy that I was like, this is honesty. This is
someone when I wrote that song was for the songwriting challenge, and they used the phrase like from insult to superpower. Like to me, the first chorus on that is people saying like, "What you? We're gonna listen to you. What do you have to say? Nothing. You're nobody. You're from nowhere. Fuck you." Like it's an insult. And the second verse is him, whoever he is, like being like absorbing the hate and whatever that is, and then turning around and being like, "Fuck you. I'm nowhere from nowhere. I'm going somewhere." You know, I have something to say. Like just turning that whole thing around on. That's what I love about that lyric.
Can we take a look? Can we take a little listen to the title track?
Please.
Tremolo effect.
I love tremolo these days. That's Lewis on the guitar.
3 years.
Tell a new story, gonna start today. This is the beginning, underway, new chapter. Tell a new story, hear them laughing as I walk away. You're nobody from nowhere with nothing to say. Heart keeps beating,
Tremolo Man is the best.
writing and
Oh,
reading.
I'm going to tell you what this kind of gave me vibes of the first couple tracks. a little T-Bone Burnett, especially the work he did with Alison Krauss and Robert Plant. It has that kind of just, not sure what decade we're in by, but timeless, that kind of Americana timeless vibe. Definitely
When
dug that.
people ask me like who we sound like, I don't know how to answer that, but I say like Pink Floyd had sex with Chris Stapleton, in a fun but crazy night.
I'm sure there were drugs involved in that one. We're talking Pink Floyd, right? Okay, I'm just making sure.
Michael, I wanted to ask you what it's like to play these songs live. I mean, that the emotion with which you wrote them, but then when you're on stage, what is that like for you?
Well, that's what I love about this band, and it has not always been true for me, but the band filter, if you will, helps pick songs that we don't fuck up. Like, it's really fun to play songs you love to play, and you're hitting it right down the middle of the fairway. It's like I love the edge of things, but we love just feeling like we're in our groove when we play these songs. So we're selective when we pick them, and we rehearse the fuck out of them. And then when we play them, we're not religious about form or anything. We have fun and enjoy ourselves. So like with Lewis, the guitar player, there's times when he's raging, and Mark, the drummer, will just like, I call it the drummer veto. We'll just be like, I'll be looking at him like, okay, let's stop or whatever. And he's like, fuck you, we're not stopping. Like, all right, Lewis is
I
gonna play
love,
some more.
yep, I love being in a band for that reason, Michael. Is that you can have this unspoken band. I like to call it band ESP. I mean, really, it's a little more than ESP. But, you're nodding, you're looking, you're watching. You can sometimes give hand signals and cues and stuff like that. You don't want to blow the groove. If the guy's feeling it and the audience is done, let the kid play.
And there's times that
Okay.
Mark knows I'm trying to get his attention, and he's like, I don't care, man. I
Yeah.
love.
And how does that go when you're actually recording and putting the songs together, the structure, Michael? So, are there, you said that, yeah, it's okay. And then someone will say, no, it's not okay. We need to keep working on this. Does that affect how the song ends up? Or is it just more you guys just come to a consensus?
No, I'd say it plays a constant role, kind of. Like I sort of have a, hack and slash mentality to recording. Like there's nothing sacred to me in the world. So copying and pasting. So the structure sort of emerges as we work on it. Like for example, I'll have Lewis come over and play, and sometimes I like didn't really leave a good spot for a solo. So he'll do some color stuff in between, but then I'll just mute the voice and be like, just pretend it's a big solo now. And he'll just solo over the song, and then I can like make new sections. I'll be like, well, fuck,
Uh,
we need a break here, and they got this great guitar stuff, so I'll mute the vocal there and start kind of moving things around like that. So, in lieu of being able to do it when we're rehearsing, because normally the songs are done by the time we're rehearsing them, which is what we want to, like next time we don't want that to be the case. Like everyone in the band's like, I don't want to record songs that aren't done yet, like we do all the time. Let's record songs that are done. And I think it's going to be a fun process.
okay, so to add to that question, on this particular project, what song came together and was pretty much finished the quickest, and what one took the longest amount of time to gestate and to bring to fruition?
Well, the first time came together super fast, and I love the song partly because it's just so simple, and like there's very few words, there's no bridge. It's 1 4 5 pretty much the whole thing. I came up with that lick, which is again, it's G and fucking D, but the G's has it's on the B as the bass, and just that alone, like I told the band, I'm like, the G has a B on the bass. We can't use our creativeness on that. You can't put the fucking G in. It's a B, okay? When we hit that chord, it's got to be a B on the bass. It's the only thing that differentiates from 20 trillion songs that are G and D. But then the lyric came to me at, like something in the sunlight made me think of last night, and I didn't know what that meant at all. But like all art is about transformation is a quote I've heard. Like waking up and realizing, I don't want to be too extreme here, but like, that you're a piece of shit, and having this insight for a second and having that change your life. This 1 second insight that leads you on this new path. Like that's what that song's sort of about, is just 1 second of insight.
Well, now I got to go back and listen to it and take that in. But that's the whole thing about some people would rather, some artists would rather people figure it out for themselves and create their own narrative for the songs. But I always find it meaningful because I like listening to something without having somebody tell me what it is. And then
For sure.
when I hear it from you, the artist, what it means to you, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, maybe I didn't look at it from that lens. And sometimes you can have lyrics that are just ambiguous enough that,
Mhm.
a lot of lyrics on here are pretty straightforward, but you'll have moments where, okay, let me just throw a little hint of ambiguity in there and let the audience decide what the song means.
I don't think I have a special insight to what the songs mean, I think your interpretation would be equally
Right.
good. I have
That's the
insight on what
beauty.
inspired it, but not what it means, so I totally agree with that.
Sure.
I'll hear an artist tell me what a song is about. I'll be like, no, it's not. I get that you were thinking that, but to me, that's not what the song's about.
Well, and Michael, one of the things that, and I'm sure you're aware of this from the times that we spent together and the conversations that we've had, one of our main responsibilities, Kurt and I, and Hucky when he's with us, is, we have a responsibility to keep real music alive from, whether it's independent musicians or whomever, because in this day of AI and Spotify and streaming and all this other kind of shit that's out there, we can't lose sight of the fact of what we grew up on, where things germinated from. And that is, part of our mission. And I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that and what that means to you as an artist, and particularly even when you're working with other artists.
Like, do you mean like the AI side of things, or?
Right. And how it is, how you balance that, that challenge between AI streaming and what we know as traditional, music creation, production.
I mean, I think to me the jury's out. Like, my kids are finding records from the '70s. Like, there's no AI in their fucking playlist. I guarantee it. The genuineness and the rawness of the music that we grew up with, and really the start of rock and roll was around the time what my parents were born at the most, like 60, 50s, 60s. Like, so since the birth of fucking rock and roll, some of the best stuff was early, and it was uncontrolled and impassioned and culture driven. So it's like, um that's infectious, and it's the spirit of what we do, like, regardless. I mean, there's a trillion genres that contribute to this, but uh, so AI is a tool. Everyone's smart that I know that talks about AI is like, AI is a tool. If you know what the fuck you're doing, AI is a great tool. If you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you're gonna look like a fucking idiot. It does not make you smarter. Okay? So if you're a shitty musician, it's not gonna make you a great musician. Might you luck on some fucking beat, whatever, great, awesome. If it was a tool for you, awesome. I don't fucking care. Some AI band and shit like that, AI songs, like, I'm like, so no one talking to no one? Like, no, this is not what art is about. I don't care what computer thinks. I don't care how well a computer emulates how well humans think. It's irrelevant to me. If someone tricked me with a song and I was like, that's a great song, they're like, AI wrote it. I'd be like, cool. I no longer care about the song. It's a great song. I don't care. It
Mhm.
has nothing to do with what art is to me. So I think more and more we're going to find people picking up guitars and getting analog tape machines and pushing back on every single fucking thing that they're trying to shove down our throats. Like, that music is this disposable crap that you can just print out on a computer. Like, fuck you, Spotify. If you think that, you're wrong. It's wrong. Go to hell.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We do have to rage against the dying of the light, so to speak,
Yes.
on that end. And just
Yes.
being in a covers band personally, I feel like, we have to do justice to the music that we're performing, of the artists that we are performing. But the main narrative thread in that is keeping, like Jay, to your point, is keeping real music by real musicians alive. The human flaws, the pushes and pulls, the slight dragging and speeding up, slowing down and speeding up, and all the human qualities that what makes it I hate to use this word, I do, but I can't think of anything else, organic experience. That word gets often overused and not in the right context, but that's the organic process of actually people in a room making music together. Like you were talking about earlier, Michael, just file sharing during the pandemic where we didn't have that many options to create art with other people. That's what we had. And we did our best with it, but it's halfway to AI that way, almost in a way.
And I've probably shared this Prince quote And the last time we talked, because my skip the preamble. I said to Prince, like, it must feel good to know millions of people are gonna enjoy your music because we're working on a Prince song. I was like, it's better than playing shit for people in your basement. He's like, it's more fun to play shit for people in your basement. Like he was jealous of me in a sense that I had friends I could go and play music in my basement with. No one heard that fucking music. Everyone heard Prince's music. Prince didn't get to interact with them. Like he gets from limo to limo and whatever the fuck.
Right.
So even for one of the most famous musicians of our time, there's a lack of what you were just talking about. The very thing that why we do this.
Yeah. And I think that's maybe a reason why he did after shows, because he had a more intimate setting for the fans that truly loved his music and just wanted to be part closer to that experience. I mean, he craved that connection. He did. He did. I get what
I mean,
you're
a lot of
saying.
people
Yeah.
hung out with Prince because of that. Like Glam Slam, Paisley Park. Like Prince hung out with people. Kind of weird. The most reclusive musician probably we know of, and yet he hung out with people.
And I was actually going to say the same thing, Kurt, you mentioned about the after shows, because when Kurt and I were in Minnesota back in June, we went to some shows while we were there. And,
Yeah.
we had Martin Kember on our show, and we had seen his show at the Green Room.
He's
And it was his
fantastic.
tribute to Prince. But, he came and he was real. He brought world-class musicians with him. He came, he sang his ass off. He was true to the songs while still making them his own. But there was that connection between him and the audience, and the Green Room was packed by people who wanted to appreciate real music, and it was genuine. It wasn't Pro Tools, it wasn't AI, it wasn't nonsense. It was Eddie, it was Martin, it was the bass player whose name escapes me, who's played with everybody and their brother, and it was just a bunch of cats who loved music and loved what they did. And that's really what it's all about. And there's so much of that in Nobody from Nowhere. And that's not me pandering. It's just, I said this to Kurt off air. It's just real. And I said to you, it's honest. And that's really what time it is.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a huge compliment. And I agree conceptually that this is what we love about music, and you'll never take that away. You can't take that away. I love pop music. It's great. But it's not the thing we're talking about in terms of the real connections,
So let's go back earlier, before all this stuff, before you went to Berkeley, before you engineered for Prince and all that stuff. What was it, one song or album or what an artist that just hit you like a lightning bolt? Like, Jesus Christ, what is this? I want to do this.
Do you guys want to guess my
Nope.
answer to this?
Nope.
I feel like it's a typical answer, but maybe it's not. Kiss.
Wow.
My
Okay.
first record was Kiss Destroyer.
Cool.
And I was fucking blown away by every aspect of that record. There's great songs on that record.
They are.
But it's way more than great songs. It's a band on a mission. Their vision was just totally solidified at that point. Kiss Destroyer was the peak of Kiss, I swear to God. I don't know 100% why. Like, I'm not a showman. I don't care about show business. I like songs. I don't know, something about them. I mean, it's what got me fired up for whatever reason. That's what it was.
That's really, really cool.
Well, hold on a second. Bob Ezrin, who produced for that Pink Floyd, he also produced for Alice Cooper, right?
And I never heard of Pink
Nightmare.
Floyd when I got Kiss Destroyer, I'll tell you that.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. But Bob Ezrin, man, I mean, he's still
he's a monster. Yeah.
He's still at it. He just the Alice Cooper and his original band just reunited for their 50th anniversary, and Bob was at the helm for that. I mean, he influenced so many different bands and their style and stuff. People often overlook Kiss. They wrote some great tunes.
They wrote great songs, yeah.
They wrote
I have
great
some pop
songs.
roots that I think come from bands like Kiss, where I like pop music,
For a lot of guys like me, I came to Kiss. The first thing I would watch on HBO, I had a friend, next door neighbor in upstate New York, and when they were still home box office, you didn't say HBO, you said home box office. And they had a Kiss concert playing. So seeing Gene Simmons with the fire breathing and the spitting of the blood, and the tongue and all that stuff. They got the theatricality of putting on a performance, but at the end of the day, when they did the whole unmasked thing, when they, decided, Lick It Up and all that stuff.
Heaven's on
I
Fire.
could talk about some Kiss now.
Yep.
Animalize, Revenge, Hot
Revenge,
and
Late,
right?
Shade.
what we would call late era.
But that shit's great too. I know a guy who wrote
Totally.
a couple songs for Hot in the Shade, Bob Halligan Jr., Rise to It, and one other song with Gene. That he wrote a song with Paul and Gene separately. And
One
there's
of
some
the
great
best,
stuff on that.
my guess is one of the biggest grossing Kiss songs of all time is Beth.
Sure.
A piano ballad, a very
Yeah.
beautiful, simple
Yes.
piano ballad, just
Sure.
kind of funny.
It,
But no, I got into Jethro Tull and Pink Floyd and all the like psychedelic shit shortly thereafter. And Steve Miller Band and eventually like Nirvana and the whole grunge scene. And I loved heavy metal. I loved Blood, Sweat and Tears, Chicago. That was my dad's influence. So like very
okay.
broad,
Yeah.
Steely Dan, everything. I listened to everything back then, but rock and roll and pop was kind of where my heart was.
On your credits for your Rain Tribe album, I'm looking at Kate Bush, the Waterboys, Peter Gabriel, The Cure. Well, here's Pink Floyd again. There's a bunch of other brothers and sisters, relatives and stuff. And Sly Stone you put at the very end.
Yep. And I think I said something like, and of course, Sly Stone.
Yes, you
So
did. Yes, you did.
I love Sly Stone. Prince obviously loves Sly Stone, but I got into and Prince was clearly one of the biggest Sly Stone fans of all time, and just very influential musician, even to freaking rock and rollers who like pop music.
Sure. I mean, an integrated band too, men and women, black and white. White drummer. I mean, he had the whole template, and you
And
put
rest
that
in
in.
peace. He just died like this 2025, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But outlived all these other and here it. I also think fairly recently, Ozzy Osbourne and who else passed away that same day? Chuck Mangione,
Chuck
right?
Mangione, yeah.
Who turns 84 and still outliving them all? George Clinton, same day,
Right,
July
right.
22nd was his birthday. Same day Ozzy passed away. And I'm like, how the hell is that guy still alive? All the crap that he pulled.
Seriously.
Boy.
Really? I mean,
You can't
Uncle
predict
George
these
is
things.
still here.
Right,
Uncle
right.
George
At
Who?
80,
at 84.
No, well, I don't want to. He's probably doing cocaine still. Like, that's how you don't die. Just keep doing what you were doing.
you'll live forever. Oh man.
Cocaine's
Michael,
a hell of a drug.
If you
We
can
have a
even
few
get
more-
cocaine, whatever.
Never
we have
done
a few more questions that we want to ask you, but I did want to just bring it back to the new project. I Love You and Goodbye. Can you talk about that? Because again, it's very
I like how it ends.
right.
I like
it's
how
very
that ends.
telling.
You don't resolve the chord. You don't
Right.
resolve to the home note there, which I love.
Which is kind of like life, right?
That got me too, Jay. Yeah.
You guys like Ingrid Michaelson? This is my pop roots showing. Ingrid Michaelson. She's a New York-based singer-songwriter, but she's brilliant. She just did the Notebook musical. She wrote that musical. Anyway,
Wow.
she's one of the saddest songs I know of. It's called Sort of. It's this notion of loving someone so much that you realize that you're not good for them, and your love for them overpowers your selfish desire to stay with them.
Be with them, right?
That's what that song "I Love You and Goodbye" is about. Is like you're a shooting star. You're watching the shooting star, and you're down here, and you're watching the shooting star, and they love you, but you don't. They're a shooting star, and you're fucking down here. You can just tell they should keep flying, and you're down here.
Mhm.
So to me, like, I just love that notion of like telling someone you love them deeply more than anything, and that they have to leave now, and they think it's because you don't love them or something. Sometimes you have to make them believe this. Like, no, I don't love you. This is not going to work. Leave. Like, this is fiction type shit. Like, this is a love
Mhm.
story kind of shit. It's the saddest thing in the world. That's why I wrote that song, because it's the saddest thing in the world.
Love it.
Yeah.
The most psychedelic track on this album is the last one, Growing Dim.
Growing Dim. Yep.
Talk about that one for a second, would you? Please.
Sure. Well, yeah, I love exploring the dark side in my songwriting. So
Sure. Sure.
I was joking, like, if someone asks you if you're okay after they hear your song, like, that's a huge compliment. Like, I want someone to feel like, wait, are you cool? Like, should we call someone? Like, okay, I got that song nailed. They're seriously worried about me. Nailed that one. But anyway, Growing Dim is about, literally like fading away. Like, it's got phrases like graves full of hurt and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's trying to find the most depressing things I can think of in a sense. But it's also like, I'm not a I'm not a pessimistic person, but like growing dim, and then I use the phrase going gray. It's essentially just about fading away or dying. I think kind of being okay with that in a sense. I don't know. What is it about, Kurt? You tell me. What's it about?
Pretty much, I that's the kind of the narrative thread that I got out of that. But it's not for me. The lyrics are important and all that, but sometimes more important to me is how it sounds and the echo effects on it, and the whispery, echoey effects in the background. That sounds to me like the spirits fading away into the ether, and and all that. So how it sounds, if it reflects the lyrics that you're going for, then you kind of nailed the what you're trying to do with the song. If you're getting the sound to sound like the lyrics, the dying, the
Yeah,
dimming.
there's a fancy art word for that kind of congruence between different aspects of something. And it tends to be, accidental, but probably not. But no, for me, the record, it's not a concept record. Or Set of My Moon, one of my favorite records, isn't a concept record that I can tell. I don't know what the concept is. I've listened to it 200 trillion times. I've no idea what the concept, but it all fits together perfectly. Like the Pink Moon record, I think we've talked about by Nick Drake. It fits together perfectly. You can't improve it, And to me, and I'm not saying my record has achieved that, but that's what I'm going for is something that, like the whole arc of it fits together, even if it's not telling one story. But so starting with the first time of this realization to this acceptance at the end. I don't know, it's just that's kind of the arc of the record to me.
It goes back to the old days preceding recorded music to me, when I had to study art music, art songs, Schubert, Schumann, Hugo Wolf, and the like, Gabriel Fauré, Debussy, all these classical composers. Some of them would have essentially what we call albums now, but they're considered song cycles. A song cycle can have a theme depending on the group of poets that all these composers, because they normally didn't write their own lyrics. They picked poetry, which was the custom to do. In this case, you wrote the poetry, and you wrote and wrote majority of the music and collaborated with people. But um, song cycles matter. I mean, having it doesn't have to be a complete theme, but there's an overall vibe, if you will, to the songs. They all have a kind of a current, if you will, of energy that kind of suits one another. They work together as a body of work.
Did we talk about perfect records last time? Because I don't want to be too
All
repetitive,
right, no, no, I don't think we did.
but
What's a
my
perfect
notion of a
record to
perfect
you?
record is every song's great. They all fit together perfectly. It can't be improved by taking one away, and you never get sick of listening to it. So
Okay, so what are
Pink
some of your
Moon,
perfect? Okay,
Nick Drake, Pink Moon, Kate Bush, The Hounds of Love,
yes,
Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon.
yep.
I could go on the more, but those are like the ones I use as examples because for me, they're perfect. Put on Nick Drake, Pink Moon. Any setting, it's fucking great. It's awesome. Dinner party, you're sitting on the deck, you're having fun. Any setting in the car, anywhere, it's a great record all the time. All those records are my favorite. So that's my goal, and other people have to decide when we achieve that, but that's my goal is perfect records. Yeah.
I'll throw another in there for me. Katie Lang's Ingenue is, to me, from start to finish, is Save Me until the very last, Constant Craving. That to me, that is one complete thought. That is as close as an artist for me got to Pet Sounds in terms
Suzanne
of,
Vega's first record is
sure,
perfect in my
she's
opinion.
great,
She
sure.
was like 19 or 20, I don't know what it. She played that record
Young.
through and fucking gorgeous. I
Okay.
love seeing other people's perfect records because there's for sure less worth a listen. If you're like, you telling me listen to this whole record and they're all going to be great, it's all going to fit together perfect, and I'll never get sick of it. Like even if I don't agree with you, that's a huge recommendation.
Sure.
I'd say Peter Gabriel's Security is another one too, but
So is also one that's very
So
good.
so is
yeah,
great.
yeah,
So is
yeah.
great. But to me, I mean, San Jacinto, that to me, that's beyond, it's not a pop song. It's beyond, it's art song to me. Anyway,
You know,
sorry.
Michael, you know what I love,
Purple
especially
Rain.
about
We like Purple
what
Rain. We
we
have a
do. Yes,
we Prince
yes, we
people.
do. Right. I mean, for me, every song.
That's a
But
perfect record. Purple Rain.
but on nobody from nowhere. It's you. It's extremely honest. It's extremely creative, and I kind of want to move that into, we had used the term Renaissance man before, and we don't throw that around lightly. I mean, what you've done between the astrophysicist, the businessman with brewery, the poetry that you write, the soap that you're now making, and the lotion. I really want to talk about
You
where
look very
all
well
the,
moisturized, by the way,
thank
JD.
you. And Robin and I are wonderful spokespeople for your products. They are wonderful. We're very grateful. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All of this creativity into all these different types of ventures. Can you tell me just how you balance everything and how you come up with the concepts and the things that you want to work on?
No, I cannot.
There's no there's no easy answer, right?
No, I'm kind of a hedonist. Like I follow my nose, and I'm dogged enough that what my nose finds usually leads somewhere. But no, I'm very much like a short-term interest seeker, I guess. But I heard a phrase once like the mere voyeurism, and I think Christopher Hodgkin said voyeurism is never mere. So the kind of exploration I like to do seems frivolous, but it can't be in a sense if it's how you use your time. Like I mean, I don't regret how I use my time. Some people maybe watch too much TV or whatever. I don't. So it's like I, you know, it seems frivolous. Half the shit I do seems absolutely retarded, absolutely ridiculous. Sorry, you're not supposed to use that word. I meant the musical word, the musical version of the
We know,
word.
we got it, we got it.
Anyway,
We grew
but
up
so
in an
yeah,
era that was an acceptable word, so
exactly.
I get it. I get it.
I'm trying to train myself, but no, I very much just follow my nose, and so far it's worked.
Yep.
You have an unending well of curiosity, and you tend to manifest that in a physical product. How about we put it that way?
I
You
like
really
that.
do.
I put that on my soap. It's a little long, but
Right, but it'll work.
round.
I don't think that's going to fit on any wrapper.
No, but thank you for listening to my record. Like I joke with people,
No,
like I'm just bribing people to listen to my record now. It's like I do one nice thing for them. Like I'm like, you have to listen to my record. I don't care if people like the fucking record. I can't make you like it. I can make you listen to it. I really can't make you listen to it.
for today's weather, it really worked for me.
Yes.
It set the tone. You have the perfect for my commute anyway. I have a 35-minute commute. Your record's about half hour, give or take. And it was perfect from start to finish. I pull up to the parking lot, I'm finished listening to the last track, and I'm like, okay, I've had an experience. I've gone on a ride. And
Yeah,
that's
30
what you want.
minutes is about the right length for me. Like I hate long
Yeah.
records. Like
No, I get
extended
it.
records like are a nightmare. Like you can't make Purple Rain better. Don't make Purple Rain better. Okay, you can't. Prince did already. Do not try to make Purple Rain better. Sorry.
Well, like
And
Dirty Mind was just one of his shortest records, and all those songs had that punk aesthetic to it. So it was like, keep everything 3 minutes and under. He
Exactly.
had one or two songs on a couple of songs on there. They're over 4 minutes, but I like the songs that are fast and furious too. You just you
And
made
short
your point.
records. That's well, good thing about vinyl is like you have to be short, but that's why records were short. Now they
right.
can be any length, so you get 90-minute records. Like, I'm sorry, whoever
Yeah.
your name is, it's too long.
Well, the trend when CDs were the way that people were buying their music, and a CD was designed to hold enough music for
You know, man,
Beethoven's Ninth Symphony.
yeah, records are about
So
what 45, and then CDs went to 72, and now
Mhm.
streaming.
right. So, but artists felt like, well, everybody's buying a CD. I might as well make it worth their time
You can
buying
you
it.
can fit
Let me
another
fill
song
every.
on.
Let me fit everything I can fit on there, and that I like the 45-minute or less. If that's all killer, no filler, right? As they say, all killer, no filler.
I
Why do you
started with
have
like
to?
20 some songs that I was considering, and I
Okay,
ended up at 9. So I cut, most of the songs, just that weren't right or weren't good enough or weren't ready yet. So like, which I saw Prince do too. Like, start with a trillion songs and you end up with hopefully a really good focused record at the end.
yeah. So what's next for you, Michael? What performances? What other things you have coming up in the horizon?
Well, we're gonna, this band is gonna keep playing and recording and no huge expectations. It's what we do. It's what we do and I keep doing it. Ingrid and I are working on a record which I've talked about and it's getting better and better and we want we want to make the right move so people hear it, we don't want to just throw it out into the ether and have it die because it's fucking good and she's great and her career has been amazing. The story she can tell.
Yeah.
And she's the best lyricist I know. And we're just clicking on this fucking record. So, I'm just hoping that the stars come together and we can get this record out in a way that Ingrid fans and fans can check it out.
And for those playing at home who have no idea who Ingrid is, and if you don't, you're about to get your tutorial. That he was referring to the one and only spirit child. That's Ingrid Chavez.
Her face is
Otherwise known
on
as,
your Graffiti Bridge record. So
you got it.
Right.
Or it plays the role of Aura, right? And the famous story about her writing originally "Justify My Love" with Madonna and Lenny Kravitz, and
I heard that story afresh and it's fascinating. That's her fucking
yeah,
song. According to her, this is secondhand, whatever, but Prince called her and was like, "You gave Madonna that song," and they weren't really talking at the time. Prince could tell it was Ingrid Chavez from Madonna's voice. When I listen to Just My Love, that's Ingrid. That's Madonna impersonating Ingrid. That's Ingrid's fucking song. Unquestionably, it's Ingrid's song. And the courts agreed, it's Ingrid. Ingrid. So yeah, Ingrid's a fucking monster, and she's still really. I mean, she has fans, but she's not. More Prince fans should know who the fucking it is, and should be listening to that first record and be getting ready for the second record, in my opinion. I heard that it's in the works. Like before, it was just silence. Like no one knew the fuck I was talking about, and now it
yeah,
sounds like it's
okay,
actually in the works.
yeah.
So I don't have the details, but it's an unleveraged asset sitting there.
Like you
They have to
said
get
before,
their asses together and get their assets out.
Move it. Right.
And I have to say this without insulting anyone who's trying to do it. So
you put
that was
your
my
assets in,
attempt
you
to.
put
Right.
your assets up, you put your. I'm sorry. Anyway, no, but in all seriousness, when we were at Celebration, Jay, I think they mentioned that at Iron Mountain, the folks that are working on remastering the entire catalog of all the whatever, his entire
Yeah.
body from the vault, I think they were like at the time 45% complete.
45%
Yeah.
digitizing everything else. So there's still a mountain of stuff to go through.
I mean, yeah,
And Ingrid's record, you can still buy it on Amazon.com. That's what's funny to me. Like you can get the CD, but you
Right.
cannot
yeah,
stream
physical
it.
product, you can't stream
And if you
it.
can't
I
stream it,
know.
it's dead to the world right now. That we have to change that. Like, are we running out of time? My last
Nope.
topic. Spotify sucks. Spotify is killing music. It's great for us. We love it. But it's the enemy, and eventually we're gonna have to start fighting back against those motherfuckers. So at some point, I'm gonna just pull my shit off of it and be like, no, why are we helping these people? Like they take all the money. What are we doing? Like, we're feeding the dragon our treasure. Like, here you go. Maybe someday.
Well, it's like if you could get all major label artists, because I understand. Speaking of Pink Floyd, I understand they cut a special deal with Spotify where they're getting a much higher percentage than most new artists. A lot of the legacy artists are like, we'll be on your format. What are you going to pay us for it? Unless you're a legacy artist, you're not getting what you deserve.
No,
to be
that's where
getting.
all the money's going is, yes, Spotify execs and then huge legacy artists, which makes sense in a sense. But like, where did the next artists come from in this system?
Correct.
Well, right.
TikTok, apparently.
And isn't it ridiculous that it's even a conversation that we have to have? And yes, we could have a whole other episode or 4 about,
I'm sure we will.
artists and their rights or lack thereof and what's
Yeah.
happened to artists in the
Yeah.
record industry and things like that. It's just a shame that we have to have that conversation even in this day and age because, everybody streams, everybody wants to use their, Apple Music and iTunes and everything else. And the creators, okay, the originators of the content and the art that you're listening to are getting the least amount of proceeds from that. And that just makes absolutely no sense to me.
I fell
Yes.
off a cliff at some point. Like, I talked to songwriters who were making a living and now they can't.
Right.
And nothing's changed except, it's Spotify now.
Well, and I'll say it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. When people poo-pooed Metallica for creating a stink about Napster, they were right. Here we are 30 years. They were right. And when people bitch and complain about their legacy artists that are going out there on the road touring, some are reasonably priced tickets and some are not. it costs a lot to take a band out on the road. You know, if you're a legacy artist and you got all these people playing, musicians and stuff, the reason why the tickets are so expensive is because they don't have album sales like they used to offset the costs of touring.
Absolutely.
And the record companies aren't out there giving the budgets like they used to.
And it's supply
You
and
know.
demand, man. Like, there's only so many
Right.
seats in that place. Like,
Right.
so rich people win, which sucks. But some artists are fine with that. It's a weird world.
We're
It's
just
gonna get
living in it,
weirder.
but we're all trying to do our part. So, you know what, Michael, thank you very much. As always, you're a good
Yeah,
friend
man.
of the show. We appreciate you. We appreciate the hospitality, you know, when we're out in Minnesota, and just for taking your time and just for being extremely honest with us. You know, not that you would be anything, but we're very, very grateful to you.
Appreciate it, man. And I love seeing everyone on your podcast. Like, you guys talk to everyone. It's awesome. If you're running out of ideas, just let me know.
We sure will. We sure will. So, Kurt,
Once again, Michael, this it's always refreshing because you cut through the BS and you just keep it real as always. Like we always say, that's what we live for. We live for honest to God artists, people. You say what
We
you mean,
find
you
each
mean what you
other.
say.
We
right?
find each
Abs-
other, people like
Absolutely.
us. When you're
when you find your tribe, it's a magical thing, isn't it? It really is. It's truly people who understand the depth of what we're doing and understand how absurd a circus the world really is.
seriously, and yet, you know, music is important to all of us.
And we're the troubadours and trouvères that are keeping people, at least giving them a temporary place where they can feel safe and happy and entertained and have fun and maybe laugh a little along the way. That's what art is all about. All these an outlet for one's emotions and all the different things going on. Well, thank you again for coming on, folks. If you
My
like
pleasure. I
what you
hope to be back again someday.
please,
Absolutely.
we want to talk about that off the air. I have some ideas actually.
Awesome.
But folks, if you like what you hear and see, if you're on YouTube right now, please down below hit that like button, smash that like button, as everybody likes to say. We are on all streaming platforms. Share it with a friend if you think that they would enjoy content like this. If you put the likes in front of, if you add yourselves to our YouTube page, all the other pages that we're on, it gives us an opportunity to have even more special guests on here, like Michael, like the other guests that we've
It's
had
one
on.
click. It's one little click. I mean, come on, click the fucking thing. Just trying to help, Kurt.
Thank you, Michael. So seriously, and as I like to say before we end every show, and this is a tenet that I live by every single day of my life. A rising tide lifts all boats. J. David Silva.
I'm going to just echo what Kurt said. Michael, thank you very much. We're going to stay in touch. We'll definitely have you back again. We will have links down where people can get Nobody from Nowhere. Folks, do yourselves a favor. Get this project. It's wonderful. It's creative. It's honest. You'll love it. So trust me, we wouldn't steer you wrong.
And it streams starting Friday, August 1st, correct?
August 1st.
All right.
By the time they see this,
Right.
thank you guys. You guys trust these guys, right? So listen to them. They're smart. Just trust them and listen to it.
And like I always like to say, good night. And remember, when the universe comes knocking, you have to answer that door. Peace.
Like the Twilight Zone.